Yes.
Fratallone's Hardware. Oh, poop.
Got one.
We did not forget the ice outs, did we?
No, I didn't write down today's show number. Which would be 1278.
Kenny, I blew my nose. I blew my nose today.
Fratallone's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1278, April 2nd, 2024. 78 degrees on this day in 1981, and 9 degrees, a chilly 9 degrees on this day in 1877. And our friends at Aquaside are bringing us the ice outs. I told you yesterday, if you got water in the property and some kid thinks it's swimmable, use Aquaside products to clear it up. Get rid of the weeds and algae. It really works great on real lakes, too, not just the mud hole in your backyard. You know, Aquaside has been helping people maintain Great Lake shores for more than 60 years with a complete line of lake and pond control products that take care of everything. Everything. I've used them. They're easy to use. They work quickly. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. So the products, DNR, right. Department of Natural Resources.
That's right.
And the products are completely safe. No need to let weeds overtake your lake or pond this summer. Call Aquaside today. Explain what you're looking at. They'll get you the right products. Your place is going to look great all summer long. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com. Ice outs today, Minnetonka, 1905 and 2010.
Look at that.
White Bear Lake, 1928, 2015, and 2020.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
I had some quick emails I wanted to get to yesterday, and I had misplaced them from Dave Downing, a frequent contributor. Hold on. Hold up.
Wait a minute.
Something ain't right. When Europeans migrate to land where Native Americans live, they are called invading colonizers. It's a bad thing. In 2024, people who look like long-dead colonizers must be shamed and punished. That would be us.
Okay.
When one species of owl migrates to an area where another species of owl lives, the migrating owls are called invasive. It's a bad thing. In 2024, the invading owls must be eradicated.
Okay.
You learned that the other day. However, when people from all over the world illegally cross an international border, the illegal invaders are called migrants. And it's a good thing. In 2024, the migrants must be welcomed with housing and handouts. That's just some deep thoughts from a GLer on his own service road of life. And for my money, he's absolutely correct. John in Arizona, his head is scratched. He's scratching his head.
He's confused. He's perplexed.
Joe, my wife came home last Friday from work with the news that a coworker had given birth to a baby boy, and they named him Alucard. Now think about it. Then spell that name backwards. Are these parents nuts, or are they serious about the name and know what it spells?
Dracula?
Dracula.
Dracula.
Double delivery.
I got it right.
Double delivery.
It spells Dracula.
Dracula. Thank you, Kenny.
Wow.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Zero res is spelled the same forwards or backwards.
This isn't spelled the same forward or
know.
backwards.
And Dracula wouldn't do carpets either.
And finally, from Steve, the sense whens are important in Garage Logic, aren't
You
they?
always look for those. You always do. You might find them 4 or 5 paragraphs down, but you're onto that.
You're looking.
Yeah, he's looking.
Spring snowfall is common in California. But over 100 years ago, California's biggest March snowstorm left the state with over 30 feet of snow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Enough said. Enough. Drop
That's
the mic.
it?
There we
Drop
go.
the mic.
May I issue a big God bless to JK Rowling?
Oh yeah.
Who? What else is she famous for, Rook? What did she do?
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
What did she overcome?
She overcame the "you're nuts. You'll never be successful." The hump.
She overcame the "you're nuts" hump.
Yep.
She was on a bus in Scotland and turned to her seatmate and said, "I got an idea. I'm going to create a little kid who's a wizard, and he goes through portals and
Hagrid, giants,
and they would turn to her and say, 'You're nuts.'"
Yeah. I
Well,
love
now
it.
she has enough money to speak her mind,
Yep. I love it.
and God bless her. Scotland has a new hate crime law. It took effect yesterday, and Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling dared the Scottish police to arrest her for calling a man a man. This is what
It's come to.
any day now, that large extraterrestrial vehicle will suspend itself
Yep.
over the earth, and the occupant will get a megaphone and say, "You people are done. It's over for you people." According to the Scottish Parliament's website, the Hate Crime and Public Order Bill adds a new crime of stirring up hatred against any of the protected groups covered by the bill, one of which is transgender identity. Rowling began a long social media post by listing several biological male criminals who claimed to be transgender just prior to being sentenced for various crimes. Some of the crimes included sexually assaulting a 10-year-old, possession of 16,000 illicit images of children, and rape. After approvingly shedding light on 10 different women, not all criminals, Rowling revealed her enthusiasm was an April Fool's Day joke. "Only kidding. Obviously, the people mentioned in the above tweets aren't women at all, but men, every last one of them." But they were trans. And she said to the authorities in Scotland, "Come and arrest me if you think I've violated the hate crime law. Come and arrest me."
Well, move.
And they have not, by the way. In passing the Scottish Hate Crime Act, Scottish lawmakers seem to have placed higher value on the feelings of men performing their idea of femaleness, however misogynistically or opportunistically, than on the rights and freedoms of actual women and girls, she wrote. She continued, "For several years now, Scottish women have been pressured by their government and members of the police force to deny the evidence of their eyes and ears, repudiate biological fact, and embrace a neo-religious concept of gender that is unprovable and untestable. The redefinition of women to include every man who declares himself one has already had serious consequences for women's and girls' rights and safety in Scotland, with the strongest impact felt as ever by the most vulnerable, including female prisoners and rape survivors. It is impossible to accurately describe or tackle the reality of violence and sexual violence committed against women and girls, or address the current assault on women's and girls' rights unless we are allowed to call a man a man. Freedom of speech and belief are at the end in Scotland if the accurate description of biological sex is deemed criminal." God bless you, woman. You're an honorary. If we had any medals left, I'd put her in the GL Hall of Fame.
She gets the golden magic stick. What do you call those things?
A wand?
A wand. The magic, the golden wand. Harry Potter.
Aren't
She gets the
you
golden wand?
aren't you just astounded that we even are talking about this? This is so bleeping ridiculous that this is even a topic, and that somebody like her has to be on the defensive for just speaking the truth.
I'm currently out of the country, Rowling wrote, but if what I've written here qualifies as an offense under the terms of the new act, I look forward to being arrested when I return to the birthplace of the Scottish Enlightenment. Scotland's community safety minister Well, what's Siobhian?
Siobhan.
Sobhian.
That's what it looks like, but it's Siobhan.
Siobhan Brown told the Telegraph Rowling's tweets could be cause for police investigation. It could be reported and it could be investigated. Whether or not police would think it was criminal is up to the Police Scotland for that, Brown said. Rowling, who has been an outspoken critic of transgender ideology invading women's spaces, was not alone in her criticism of Scotland's new law. According to the Telegraph, former deputy leader of the Scottish National Party, Jim Sillars, launched a campaign to resist the Hate Crime Act and campaign for its repeal. Today, on their own admission, Police Scotland will translate itself from a service into a force for one particular purpose, the pursuit of people who speak their minds, Sillars said. This law inflicts a deep wound on the face of Scottish society. And now from the Daily Mail, which covers everything. It's the Costco of newspapers.
Let's go.
Headline, JK Rowling's defiant hate crime tweets are not criminal. Police rule out action against author amid furious backlash. As police say, she hopes, or as Rowling says, she hopes every woman who wants to speak up for the importance of biological sex will be reassured. So she's a champion. And imagine what she's being a champion of. Not much at all, but it's a big deal that she's the champion of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because women in Scotland, if they didn't have her voice to speak for them, would literally be afraid to call a man, a woman, a woman.
And that is the proper use of the word literally.
Yes, thank you. The Scottish police confirmed they will not take action. Mother of God in heaven.
What other countries in the world can you not speak the truth? Let me
let's
think.
see.
Yeah.
Russia.
Where else, Joe?
Iran.
Oh, really? No rights for women in Iran.
No.
China?
China.
Cuba?
A lot of the stand
Cuba?
countries.
Yeah.
Cuba.
We have reached a ridiculous stage in this world.
Where are we in Liechtenstein?
Now,
okay?
mind you, why did the police have to act? The police ultimately are not going to make a show of this. They're not going to arrest J.K. Rowling. But
Right.
what were they responding to? People were complaining about J.K. Rowling not following the law, and they were offended.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of one of the people she mentioned was this guy who, right before the eve of his trial, changed his sex.
Right.
Remember that guy? Did you bring him up?
I got it here, but this damn Daily Mail, it's 48-page story. In her social media post, the author listed 10 high-profile trans people and denied their claims to be women. They included double rapist Isla Bryson, 31, who was initially jailed for 8 years at a woman's prison before later being moved to a male prison following a backlash. Bryson, who was known as Adam Graham at the time of the offenses, began transitioning in 2020 after being charged.
Okay.
Initially referring to them as women, she ended up the thread by saying, April Fools, only kidding. Obviously, the women mentioned in the above tweets aren't women at all, but men, every last one of them. And then the other story had the same thing. The new legislation, she wrote, is wide open to abuse by activists who wish to silence those of us speaking about the dangers of eliminating women and girls' single-sex spaces. The nonsense of crime data, if violent and sexual assaults committed by men are recorded as female crimes. The grotesque unfairness of allowing males to compete in female sports. The injustice of women's jobs, honors, and opportunities being taken by trans-identified men. And the reality and immutability of biological sex. For several years now, Scottish, you go, girl, For several years now, Scottish women have been pressured by their government and members of the police force to deny the evidence of their eyes and ears, repute biological facts, and embrace a neo-religious concept of gender that is unprovable and untestable. The redefinition of woman to include every man who declares himself a woman has already had serious consequences for women's and girls' rights and safety in Scotland, with the strongest impact felt as ever by the most vulnerable, including female prisoners and rape survivors. She's 58 years old, JK Rowling. Her comments whipped up a social media storm. The prime minister entered the role saying people should not be criminalized for stating simple facts on biology. We believe in free speech in this country, and conservatives will always protect it. Miss Rowling's comments after Siobhan Brown, that's the Minister for Community Safety, said those who misgender others could be investigated by police. We can't live in that world. No one should live in that world. We've already seen the detrimental effects of the poor souls in this world who do live under those rules.
Imagine that coming here, though. We had a report over the weekend. We had a report over the weekend of basically 911 calls going unanswered in Minneapolis. But you get a call about misgender. We got to act now. We got to investigate this.
Just one moment. I think I can tell you that it's already happening here, although we don't have it enshrined in law yet here.
Oh, just wait.
But in today's Pioneer Press, ironically, Star Tribune. Where in the hell is the Star Tribune? I brought it with me to work.
It's at the bottom of the page of the Metro section.
It was folded in.
On today's Star Tribune, you have in the Metro section, instead of listening to another person misgender them last fall on a bonding tour across the state, Duluth rep Lilsh, Liish, Lilsh Kozlowski simply told the driver of a bus full of lawmakers to pull over. I had told him over and over and over again to stop calling me she, her, said Kozlowski, who is non-binary and uses they, them pronouns. Hey,
so,
Lilsh, go bleep yourself.
Yeah,
pause a second. That means that she, her would also be pissed off if you called her he, him. Because if you're non-binary, you're neither. Am I interpreting that wrong?
I don't know. Let me read it. I had told them over and over, meaning the people on the bus, to stop calling me she, her, said Kozlowski, who is non-binary and uses they, them. So I chose to get off the bus instead of driving back 2 hours with them. She apparently made a phone call and a friend picked her up.
Her.
Him.
Him.
They.
They, them.
Kozlowski is undergoing hormone therapy and being misgendered was brutal. They said. You mean he said.
Huh?
Brutal as in trails of tears. Brutal as in
being starved to death.
Concentration camps, death marches.
Brutal as being put in a boxcar.
Raped and mutilated.
It's an insult to the word brutal.
What do you mean by brutal? Are you just simply mad because you can't change the behavior of people that are accustomed to saying certain things their whole life or now?
Now, he would call this, his actions were a backdrop of a national attack on trans and queer folks. Lady, man, whatever the hell you are, I'm not attacking your transgenderism. I'm attracting your self-virtue. You're not special. Shut the hell up. You're not special. And don't
And not-
ask me to deny my own eyes and ears.
And if you ask me, not doing anything for she, hers, him, he's at all. You're not doing anything for anything. All you're doing is calling attention to yourself and being a petulant little child who hasn't adjusted to maturity.
Look up this legislator.
Go.
I'm unfamiliar with him. Liish.
Him.
They. Kozlowski, Kozlowski, DFL, Duluth.
Ooh, one of my people?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I bet there's not a long
Alicia Leash Kozlowski. So her name is Alicia. She is right here. Full name, Capital Investment Home, Duluth Occupation Community Relations Officer.
Well, that means she didn't take any courses that you couldn't flunk.
MBA College of St. Scholastica.
Okay. In what, I wonder?
MBA, it doesn't say
Okay.
in what. And that's it. I'll try to find more. It doesn't say anything about married with children.
Well, no, of course not. But is there an age or is there what is she in her first term?
She is in her first term, elected in 2022.
Well, who voted for this person? And what does she?
Kozlowski presents bill supporting tribal sovereignty and local economic strength. What else did she get behind? Presents bill updating Minnesota Fair Labor Standards Act. Minnesota Queer Legislators Caucus on Trans Day of Visibility. She had something to do with that. I don't know what yet.
Okay, God love you. I hope you have a great life and everything, but don't tell me it's brutal because some bus driver called you she instead of they.
You can get over that.
That ain't brutal.
You can get over that.
I think it was the other legislators, wasn't it? Not the
Or
bus.
whatever they were. I don't know.
You don't ride the bus.
But if I did,
But
it
if you
sure as hell
did.
wouldn't be that bus.
She was born in 88, so she's
A
36.
young woman or young man, whatever she is.
She's the child of a Mexican union electrician father and a Fond du Lac Ojibwe mother.
All
so
right.
she's native.
She's a native gal.
Yeah.
She shared her story of her humiliation on the bus with 100 people at a gender-affirming care event at Duluth's Peace United Church of Christ on Thursday. It was organized by medical students and others in response to a growing rift within the Duluth campus of the University of Minnesota Medical School, where some of the students formed a Catholic group that opposes gender-affirming care for minors. Such care includes medications to suppress puberty and hormones for older teens. I would join that group. I don't want to mess with kids.
Don't check with kids.
You want to get to your age, Lish, fine. Do whatever you want, but let's leave the kids alone.
She beat Republican candidate Becky Hall 71% to 28%.
That
She got
amazes me. That amazes me.
14,500 votes. Kozlowski lives in Duluth with her partner Samantha and has one child.
So these Duluth
They
kids
identify as non-binary and two-spirit. What is two-spirit?
Two-spirit has something to do with her native heritage.
I'm sure, yeah.
It's a male-female thing as far as Native Americans go. Two-spirit.
Oh,
What are you, an Indian?
No, I've read about it.
All right.
some light reading, yes.
I can't go on with
You're
this.
speechless.
No, it's not that I'm speechless.
Just that it's time for a break.
No, I understand.
You know?
I mean,
I know.
Is there a way to provide gender affirming care to kids without the drugs, without the surgeries, without the hormones? Can you just talk to them and pat them on their head and listen to them and be empathetic to their whatever they think they're doing, but yet treat them like kids and act like an adult? You know what I mean?
I would.
Is that possible?
Well, to me it is, and that's the road I would take until they're old enough to know what they're taking. Until they're old enough to understand. Remember now, the culture is so fragmented and so destroyed by the left that you've got a Hennepin County attorney who said that brains are not fully developed until you're about 24.
Yeah.
And yet 5 will get you 10. She's in the same crowd that would advocate for a 5-year-old to change gender. Well, no, the 5-year-old brain is no more developed than a criminal brain at 5 years old. You're not developed. No, that came out wrong. No brain is developed at 5 years old.
But
No,
Joe,
it's still forming.
my question, I don't know if you're addressing my question, is part of gender affirming care sitting down with this kid and saying, look, what you're talking about is a point of no return. You're going down a road that you're not going to be able to back up. This isn't trading a pickup truck in for a Mustang. This is the rest of your life. This is more serious than a piercing, a tattoo, or anything you will ever do. And you are too young and your brain is not developed yet to make this decision on your own. Are you aware of that, young man or lady?
No, the problem is you're saying those words to someone who won't even understand those words.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, in other words, you can't sit a 5 or 6 year old down and say, do you realize, Bill, if you become Sally, you can never go back to being Bill? They're not going to understand that. They're not going to understand that.
In my mind, I've immediately discounted anybody under the age of 13. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking of 14, 15, 16-year-old.
Well, I'm going to up you. I'm going to go to 18.
Yeah, that's fine. All the way up to 18.
Going to 18.
And like the nut job in Hennepin County says, and she's right, brains are not fully developed until you are in your 20s.
Yeah, but she uses that.
But that doesn't
to
excuse
release
you.
Murderers to
Yeah,
the street.
that's two different things. That doesn't excuse you from murder. But it does if you want to change genders. Isn't there an adult anywhere in the building? Have all the adults gone home?
They gone. Ain't come back.
Nobody wants to sit down with these kids and just say, put the brakes on for a few years.
How can this not be flat out evil? Is that hyperbole? How can this not be evil? To destroy a child?
I don't know. You can't process it if you're a normal person. You can't process it because it goes against everything.
Isn't it a form of abuse?
Yes.
It seems like it is to me. It's your job as a parent to say, sit down and shut up.
Sit down and shut up, why don't you?
Shut up, for fact.
Chris,
Let's go here.
sit down and shut up, Reavers.
Flick your ear, you little brat.
And try it.
It gets you to close.
I did